That's a juicy looking knight.
Kings and queens, welcome. Are you making one of the 5 most critical mistakes that could be costing you games? Well, today we're finding out. We're going to identify all 5 mistakes and I'll give you the exact strategies you need to rid your game of them permanently. And actually, the first mistake which I see players make all the time is relying on tricks and systems. Now what I mean by that is that loads of players try to win using tricks and systems. And an example of this would be the Stafford Gambit, which actually arises after moves e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, takes, and now instead of playing d6, the Petrov defense, which is very popular, these players try to play knight c6, and after takes, they say that they have bishop d6, knight g4, and they try to attack. But if white knows what he's doing, he's already winning this game. Guys, this is plus 1.6. So please, do not play these tricks and systems, because it will cost you your learning experience. You see, there are only 2 outcomes when you play a trick or system. First, okay, you win the game with your trick, or your opponent knows what he's doing, or you get immediately a lost position. And it may seem that the first outcome, you winning out of the opening, is positive, right? Like, you immediately win your game, what could be better? But actually, guys, if you think about it, you don't learn anything by playing a trick and then winning. You always get the same types of positions, and really it just isn't gonna help you. So please stop playing these. And actually this also ties into mistake number 2. Trading simply for the sake of trading. As chess players, especially at the lower levels, we like to trade psychologically because then, well, we simplify the game, because if there's less pieces, there's a smaller chance of making a mistake. But actually, quite often, trading can just help your opponent's position, like in this example. You see here after moves e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, take, and e5. Here, if white takes on c6, he'd actually, after b takes c6, help black get the center. And, well, I used to play e5 here all the time. And, well, because it was my main opening, I faced this move knight takes c6 quite a lot at the lower levels. But I'm telling you guys, when you make a trade, think, does it help my position? And in this case, you could play knight b5 and actually just hop into d6. And you'll have way better chances of gaining the initiative. And one more key takeaway is that whenever you simplify the position to try to make it easier for yourself, you also make it easier for your opponent, guys. Chess is just as hard for your opponent as it is for you, so please don't make this mistake. Speaking of simplifying the game, that may not always be such a bad thing. You see, mistake number 3 is always trying to play the best move. And now that may sound like I'm joking, like I'm not serious, but I'm actually dead serious. You see, I see players always think way too long in the opening about certain moves, and actually I also have an example for this. Here, let's have a look at my game against Niklas Schmieder, an international master from Germany. You see, here in this position, after the move rook c8, I decided to invest about 40 minutes on this move. And although the move that I played ended up being fine, actually later in the game I lost due to the time trouble, which I will show you shortly. But yeah, here I decided to play the move c4, blocking all of the counterplay down the c-file, but actually the move my intuition was screaming at me the entire time, bishop b5, is just the best move. So guys, sometimes you have to stop overthinking and just get the move out of your system. Because here later down the game, I ended up playing this move rook fd3. And on the surface it looks like after the move queen takes c4, white will have a discovered attack. But this is just not the case, and I just ended up losing the game. So guys, sometimes playing the second best move is better if it saves you a lot of time, because, well, it'll save you blunders later in the game. And this also relates to mistake number 4. You can't solve a leak in the roof by mopping the floor. And what I mean by that funny saying is that players think that if they consume enough chess content, they'll get better. But this is actually not always the case. Chess is very complex and you really have to try to analyze your games and see what you're doing wrong. Now, let's say I analyze my game and I find out that my time management is very poor. Well then, opening a book about positional chess isn't gonna help me. So guys, you need to be focused on what you're doing. And another example of this would be, let's say I'm very bad at tactics, well then I'd have to do puzzles. But what you see is that many beginners will go like, I don't want to do tactics, it's boring. And I am actually guilty of this mistake myself, and it cost me a lot of points. So guys, don't open a book about opening theory when you're bad at tactics. Don't play positional chess when you have to train your calculation. Be focused about what you're doing and you'll get all the results you want. Now back to the more technical mistakes. Not using all your pieces in the attack. And this game's pretty nostalgic for me because it was played back when I was an 1800 rated chess player. And well, this game opens up with d4, we get d5, bishop f4, knight f6, e3, e6. It's just a standard London position, and of course my opponent plays a system. So, okay, I play bishop d6 and we get knight e5, and for some reason I decide to play the move knight e4 here. It's probably a mistake, but I guess the point was that after c4 I could play bishop b4 check. Well, here he played bishop d3, and after castles, my opponent decides to let his creative imagery go, and he decides to play the move f3. And it may seem like after knight f6, g4, like he is a very creative player, he's attacking, right? But in reality, guys, black is already better here. I just played a move c5, very cold-blooded, and after c3, knight c6, black just enjoys a better position. And, well, why doesn't this work for white? Well, he has put the pawns in the center, but he hasn't developed all of his pieces yet and his king is in the center, so he's just breaking all the golden principles that I've taught you guys before in my early queen attack video. So don't make this mistake and follow the simple principles, guys. And now we're going to talk about your biggest mistake yet, which is not subscribing to the channel. My bad.